So I want you guys to pay attention to this particular post by Mark Hyman and notice the kind of language that is being used, right? Now, the reason I chose this post specifically is because everything that he said in this post technically is true, but the style of just like this sort of almost marketing gimmicky style is the exact same style that scammers, grifters use to try and sell you supplements that don't work or try and fearmonger or spread misinformation. So pay attention to how, even though he's saying things that are technically true, it's completely meaningless. So laughter is anti-inflammatory. True, right? And I'm not going to try and say that laughter is not good for you. It is good for you. But anti-inflammatory on its own means nothing. Anti-inflammatory in what way? What markers of inflammation does it reduce? In what context? How much? Does that actually translate into real-world effects in human studies? Right? This tells you nothing. You could say this about anything. You could say this about a nap. You could say this about using an ice pack. You could, and I'm not saying that laughter is not good for you or that it's not anti-inflammatory. It is. But this kind of language is meaningless. Recognize it as such. It's gimmicky, right? Crying is regulating. Regulating what? That means nothing, right? Hugging is immunoprotective. In what way? Against what disease? Which in part of the immune system does it upregulate? And how much? Because sometimes you'll see something that is studied in like a petri dish, right? An in vitro study. And they take that and extrapolate it to mean that it's going to protect you against diseases in the real world. And no, not necessarily at all. Do you have human data to suggest that? No. Again, it says hugging is immunoprotective. Hugging is great for your health. I'm not trying to say that it's not. But recognize this style of language as the gimmicky marketing bullshit that it is. Even though in this case it's true, it's also so vague that it's meaningless. Let's continue. Singing is vagal toning. Sure, but does that actually mean anything? Does that actually give you a benefit in real world? Not necessarily, right? It depends on the extent. It depends on the context. And it depends on whether or not you actually have human studies showing that. Sometimes you see that, oh, we have this effect, right? That it helps you improve your vagal tone. But does that actually help you long term in real world scenarios, right? Not necessarily. But the term sounds sciencey. And even though in this case it is technically correct, it is still a gimmick, right? Recognize it as such. Dancing is neurogenic. Sure, but pretty much all forms of movement that aren't just monotonous and repetitive are also neurogenic. So, in the sense that they improve neuroplasticity. So, again, super vague. And does that actually translate to improved health effects in the long term? In this case, yeah, it probably does. But many grifters and many scam artists will use the same type of language to claim things that aren't true. So even though in this post, all the things he said are technically correct, and all of these things are good for you, many others use this same format to promote bullshit. So recognize this format as the gimmicky marketing bullshit that it is.